is tingling.
What does the Catholic Church say about immigration? And how does this oppose what Republicans have to say about this issue?
These are excellent questions and also very valid concerns. Hello everyone, I'm Captain Catholic, and I hope I'm able to address these important questions of yours. This video is actually part of a larger series discussing various political issues. Often, people will ask the question, should Catholics be Republicans or Democrats? Obviously, the answer to that question is that Catholics shouldn't be either Democrats or Republicans. This is because the Catholic Church has many strong viewpoints that oppose the views of both Democrats and Republicans, depending on the issue. So throughout this series, we'll be taking a look at how the views of the Catholic Church oppose each political party on selected issues. Specifically, throughout this series, we'll look at how the Catholic Church opposes the Republican Party on the issues of war and military spending, gun control, capitalism and the role of the government in helping the poor, immigration, and climate change. We'll also be taking a look at how the views of the Catholic Church oppose the Democratic Party on the issues of abortion, stem cell research, euthanasia, and religious freedom. This particular video will focus on the topic of immigration. So, let's begin. Let's take a look at a few quotes directly from the Catholic Church to see what the Church teaches on immigration. The Catechism of the Catholic Church states, "The more prosperous nations are obliged, to the extent they are able, to welcome the foreigner in search of the security and the means of livelihood which he cannot find in his country of origin." St. Pope John the 23rd has stated, "Every human being has the right to freedom of movement and of residence within the confines of his own state. When there are just reasons in favor of it, he must be permitted to emigrate to other countries and take up residence there. The fact that he is a citizen of a particular state does not deprive him of membership in the human family, nor of citizenship in that universal society, the common worldwide fellowship of men." St. Pope John Paul II has stated, "The Church in America must be a vigilant advocate, defending against any unjust restriction the natural right of individual persons to move freely within their own nation and from one nation to another. Attention must be called to the rights of migrants and their families and to respect for their human dignity, even in cases of non-legal immigration." Now let's take a look at what our current Pope has to say about immigration. In September of 2015, Pope Francis visited the United States Congress in Washington, D.C. This is what he had to say to our lawmakers on the topic of immigration. "On this continent, too, thousands of persons are led to travel north in search of a better life for themselves and for their loved ones, in search of greater opportunities. Is this not what we want for our own children? We must not be taken aback by their numbers, but rather view them as persons, seeing their faces and listening to their stories, trying to respond as best we can to their situation, to respond in a way which is always humane, just, and fraternal. We need to avoid a common temptation nowadays, to discard whatever proves troublesome. Let us remember the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Let us treat others with the same passion and compassion with which we want to be treated. Let us seek for others the same possibilities which we seek for ourselves. Let us help others to grow as we would like to be helped ourselves. In a word, if we want security, let us give security. If we want life, let us give life. If we want opportunities, let us provide opportunities. The yardstick we use for others will be the yardstick which time will use for us." And of course, we have to include a quote from Christ himself. "For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. A stranger, and you welcomed me." So as you can see, the Catholic Church teaches that wealthy countries, such as the United States, must be compassionate towards immigrants and welcome as many of them as possible. Immigrants are coming from war-torn and poverty-stricken countries, and they often have no other option but to immigrate in order to provide for their families. So while the Catholic Church calls upon wealthier nations to reach out to immigrants and help them, members of the Republican Party often turn their backs on immigrants and hold attitudes that resemble the opposite of mercy and compassion. For example, many Republicans will often call for the deportation of law-abiding, undocumented immigrants. This is strongly opposed by the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. In their document, Strangers No Longer, Together on the Journey of Hope, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops stated, each year, an estimated 150,000 Mexican migrants enter the United States without authorization, working in such industries as agriculture, service, entertainment, and construction. Despite the rhetoric from anti-immigrant groups and some government officials, they labor with the quiet acquiescence of both government and industry. A broad legalization program of the undocumented would benefit not only the migrants but also both nations. Making legal the large number of undocumented workers from many nations who are in the United States would help to stabilize the labor market in the United States, to preserve family unity, and to improve the standard of living in immigrant communities. Moreover, migrant workers, many of whom have established roots in their communities, will continue to contribute to the U.S. economy. We can further explore the contradiction between Catholic and Republican views on immigration by looking at a recent crisis. In July of 2014, tens of thousands of unaccompanied children migrated from Central America and Mexico to the United States. During this time, people throughout the U.S. were very split on how they thought this issue should be handled. Let's take a look now at what Pope Francis had to say about this specific situation. I would also like to draw attention to the tens of thousands of children who migrate alone, unaccompanied, to escape poverty and violence. This is a category of migrants from Central America and Mexico itself who cross the border with the United States. This humanitarian emergency requires, as a first urgent measure, these children be welcomed and protected. Before going any further, I'd like to emphasize the last part of that quote. Pope Francis stated that these children should be welcomed to the United States and protected. All right. Now let's compare Pope Francis's approach to this situation to Sean Hannity's approach to this same situation. For those of you not familiar with him, Sean Hannity is a media pundit on Fox News and a staunch Republican. So here's what Sean Hannity had to say about the children immigrants.
Why don't we put them on an airplane and send them home?
Why don't we put them on an airplane and send them home? Definitely not the welcoming attitude that Pope Francis is looking for, Sean. So clearly, people who share Sean Hannity's attitude towards immigrants have no desire to reach out to these children to help them. Even though these children are coming from absolute poverty and war-torn homes, many Republicans could simply care less and really don't even want to be bothered trying to help them, despite the fact that we are actually a very wealthy country that could easily afford to help them. In the words of Sean Hannity, many Republicans would rather just stick these kids on an airplane, send them home, and pretend they never existed. Go starve, they don't care. This is obviously quite the opposite approach of what the Catholic Church, and Christ himself, would have us take. So in summary, the Catholic Church's views on immigration strongly clash with the Republican Party's egocentric and fairly heartless views on this topic. Oh yeah, wait a minute. One more thing on this topic that directly pertains to our discussion. In February of 2016, Pope Francis was directly asked about Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's views on immigration. A journalist told Pope Francis that Donald Trump proposed to build a 2,500-kilometer wall between the United States and Mexico, and also that Trump proposed to deport 11 million undocumented immigrants from the United States. The journalist asked Pope Francis what he thought about these statements, and he also asked the Pope whether or not a Catholic in the U.S. should vote for Donald Trump. Here's what Pope Francis had to say. A person who thinks only about building walls, wherever they may be, and not about building bridges, is not Christian. This is not the gospel. As far as what you said about whether I would advise to vote or not to vote for him, I am not going to get involved in that. I say only that this man is not a Christian if he has said things like that. So there you have it. The Catholic Church's views on immigration very much clash with the Republican Party's views on this issue. Alright, so that just about ends our coverage on how the Catholic Church's views on immigration oppose the views of Republicans on this issue. Be sure to check out any of the other videos in this series to see how the Catholic Church opposes each political party's views on other selected issues. So, what were your thoughts on the issues presented in this video? Please feel free to discuss your thoughts on these issues in the official Captain Catholic Facebook group, Captain Catholic Wants You. All people of goodwill are welcomed and encouraged to join the discussion, regardless of your religious or political views. Please just remember to be respectful and kind to all people in the group, regardless of whether or not they agree with your views. Also, feel free to check out the official Captain Catholic website, captaincatholic.com, for more videos. And before we go, just one final thought on this video. Please be aware that in this video, I was not attempting to give you a comprehensive summary of the Catholic Church's teachings on these issues. That would take hours, even more time than I wasted of yours already. So for time's sake, I tried to simply give you a few brief quotes that effectively highlighted some of the Catholic Church's teachings on these issues. Nevertheless, despite being brief, I'm sure these quotes show you how the Catholic Church directly and clearly opposes views held by both the Republican and Democratic parties. So hopefully you can use this video as a starting point to learn more about the Catholic Church's teachings on these issues in depth. Thank you so much for watching. And regardless of whatever your personal views may be, I will be sure to keep you in my prayers, and I wish you a fantastic day. Peace be with you.